Hey dancers, welcome back to Broche Banter, your home for thoughtful discussions about starting ballet in adulthood. I'm Julie, your host. In this inspiring episode, we dive into Anke's incredible journey. Once a shy, quiet girl, she now shines on the stage, inspiring others to believe that it's never too late to start something new. During lockdown, Anke secretly signed up for an online ballet course. Not even her husband knew, as she thought ballet was just for little girls. But ballet soon became a powerful form of self-expression, and now she can't be a day without at least 20 minutes of dancing. Anke's story is also a story about partnership. While she took dance lessons, her husband learned to play the piano, and eventually he composed a heartfelt piece for her solo at the International Adult Ballet Festival. Together, they expressed life's ups and downs through music and movement. Join us as we explore the courage that it takes to embrace self-expression and to follow your passions. And with that, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Anke. Welcome to the show, Anke. I'm so happy to have you on Broche Banter today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
So exciting. So exciting to get to chat. I actually can't wait to hear more about your story myself. Obviously, we've been dancing together for quite some time, but it's always fun to actually just get to sit down and hear your story start to finish. Well, not finished. We're not done yet writing your ballet story, but little pieces here and there. So what brought you to ballet, Anke?
Yeah, actually, it was in the middle of the pandemic, well, not actually in the beginning. And I was doing Pilates and running before, but Pilates was stopped, and it's been a couple months, and I knew every single part of the city by now. So I was bored, and I started looking for some other virtual opportunities, and I found this $10 bar class, which was an introduction to bar. And I did not like it, actually. I started it and I was like, oh my God, this is far too fast. This is so stressful. Why are they rushing through these things? And then I kind of discovered something that I wanted to understand the movement behind it. And then I had this secret idea that I could learn some ballet. And I actually hid in my bedroom. My husband was learning the piano in the living room, and I was in this really tiny bedroom and secretly logged into the internet and made this beginner class. But it's I think the first month I didn't tell anybody, not even my husband. He didn't notice. He was like, she's doing something there, some sports, I don't care.
Was it a bar? Was it like bar fitness, or was the intro to bar like intro to ballet?
No, it was actually bar fitness,
Okay.
the class I did, and I really did not like it at all. Like but then I kind of discovered I want to learn how to do pliés and tendus, and I want to understand how it actually works.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
it kind
why?
of
Yeah,
yeah.
why did it have to be such a secret?
Uh, well, I think it's first of all, I had no idea how far this was gonna go. I never until that point had even had the idea that I would like to do ballet.
Mhm.
This was something blonde, rich girls do when they're girls. That's it. Not
Like when they're
something
little. Yeah.
when they're little, yeah,
Right.
girls. Not something you do when you're totally grown up. And I knew it was incredibly difficult, so I was kind of feeling is okay. It's like trying to do math when you're grown up and never could do math. It's something, I knew it was going to be pretty hard
Mhm.
and impossible to, actually really do it. This was my head. And then I kind of felt ridiculous as well. So yeah, I did not tell my husband, and I started learning, like, I had this extra course, also was $10 online course, just the steps, and I started with the pliés, tendus, and we did, everything was like a 10-minute video to learn how to do it, and every day I had another video, and when I got to Rendezvous, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And then I started doing Grownups, and I kicked everything. So I had to tell my husband.
Sorry, I broke the vase.
Yes. I'm doing this crazy thing learning here. And yeah.
So what did he say when you finally told him?
Oh, he was super chilled. He was like,
So it was
okay.
no problem.
Yeah, he did not care. He was like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, he's learning the piano, which is typically something you learn as a kid in the first place. So he
Yeah.
understands.
Yeah. Yeah, he completely understands. He started learning the piano because he wanted music for his computer game and didn't want to license it. So he thought it was easier to learn and to compose and play the piano. So yes, he completely understood. And we had all this time, it
Right.
was lockdowns. We couldn't go outside. There was not, I think for some time we couldn't go shopping at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were not allowed to go outside without a mask and anything. So even jogging, I needed to wear a mask, something. So yeah,
And fast forward, spoiler alert, your husband has become quite good at the piano, and actually played the piano, composed and played the piano music for your last solo at the International Adult Ballet Festival.
yeah. How crazy is that?
How crazy that your both of these sort of hobby slash passion projects converged
Yeah,
this last summer. That's just is so cool.
yeah, yeah.
So you're hooked by Ron de Jam. So Ron de Jam's, they got you hooked. So when it was the beginning, how soon did you know like, oh yeah, this is really hard? Like, was it right away when you started learning pliés, or was it some time before you started actually realizing like what it means for ballet to be difficult? Because sometimes in the beginning, it's surprising what parts of ballet are difficult. Like you think that the turns and the jumps are going to be difficult, but actually you find out that many other parts of it are, in fact, more difficult, or perhaps even more difficult than those things.
Um, Actually, I was at the beginning, I was surprised that it was easier than I expected it to
Yep.
be, actually. And it was kind of, there's a limited amount of steps, and classes are always set up the same way. So, um, I pretty quickly started doing online classes, and I could at least understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually easier than expected. And then the first time I looked at myself into the mirror and I was like, oh, that's not how it looks in the video. Yeah, your butt isn't going to go up, and this is okay. Okay, that's the reason. Yeah, it completely looks different on you than on a professional ballerina, although I'm doing the same steps. And
Right.
yeah,
That's the part that becomes difficult, right? You can be doing the
yeah,
plie, you can do the plie for your entire ballet career from the beginning to the end, and it looks quite different throughout each phase of your ballet career, throughout each phase of your technique.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's been some years since COVID time, I
Mm.
guess 4 years
Yeah, I think so.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
over 4 years. So I guess you've been doing ballet now for a bit over 4 years. Now you've gone on point. Now you've done even a piece, a little bit of a performance in the Don Q Corps de Ballet and in your point shoes. What has that process been like? Was it something you always wanted to do when you started? Because obviously you said you didn't even really dream of ballet. So once you started ballet,
Mm.
did you think, oh, point shoes would be fun, or did that develop over time, or how did you get into that?
Yeah, actually it developed over time. So I started the whole process in, I'm gonna dip into it and see where it takes me. And yeah, then it kind of sucked me in. So it was never like I have this goal, I want to do it, but I just kind of grabbed opportunities and things that happened. And yeah, my feet always had this trouble that they are actually too much pointed most of
Yeah.
the time. So it's after some time I thought maybe, yeah, it's good for something. And yeah, then I started practicing and yeah, preparing for the point exam. But it was not something that's like, oh, I have to do it. The first 2 years I always expected myself to just stop and be over with it, with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why do you think
yeah.
you didn't?
I think it's going to be.
Yeah, why
What
didn't you
are you?
stop? Like, why do you think you're like, I mean, obviously it still could stop at any point, but what do you think is keeping you here still like continuing? Because obviously ballet is quite a bit of work and effort to continue improving. So what do you think it is that keeps you involved and interested?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's the same reason I started dancing with you. So when I started doing everything, I started taking classes online over Zoom or from people all over the world. And I always thought in between, oh, these classes are so hard. When it's going to be over? And then it was over, and I was like, okay, when is the next? And and this kind of was super hard at the beginning. I was like, nah, I cannot wait 2 days. I want one class every day. And then I found you, and there were classes every day. So it's like, I don't know, I feel incomplete if I haven't done danced like at least 20 minutes a day.
Hmm.
So even if I don't do a lot, it's like, and I need to do some pliés. I don't know. It's just a feeling. My body just says, yeah, you need to do something, to need to work on it. And it's kind of, yeah, I call it an addiction. So I don't, yeah, it's a strange thing. It's not, uh, maybe it's the same with running. Some people have,
Hmm.
when they start running, they're like, "Oh, this is so hard. This is so bad." And then when they finish, they have this feeling. It's like, "Oh, I feel good. I feel relaxed." And yeah, I do have this feeling in between as well, dancing. So that's great.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and the other thing, it's like, sometimes you read a book and it gets a really interesting story and then it stops. Yeah, for me, ballet is like a book that's always more story coming on. I don't think learning it will ever be finished, not in my
Hmm.
lifetime for me.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love that analogy. There's always more. There's always more chapters to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people describe ballet as sort of an addiction. And, if you think any type of addiction scratches some sort of an itch that you have, like whether, whatever this is, if it's, either running towards pain or running towards pleasure or scratching at sort of itch or whatever that is. And it's so interesting with ballet. I hear a lot from people that it's like very soothing and very calming, or gives them even like some purpose or direction in their day to kind of like get that chance to check in with their body. Even like just almost like meditation, like this moving meditation that forces you to slow down and go inward. I'm curious, do you have like a very active inner life, like a very active brain throughout the day, and it like just helps chill all of that out?
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
I'm my job, I'm responsible for like different topics that I have to switch completely between like printing materials, metadata formats, and exchange formats, digitization, and leading people. So I'm always switching back and forth, and it feels like juggling different topics. And yeah, it's it's helpful to calm down, but at the same, yeah, it's kind of the same as well in ballet. You juggle so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very juggling, but it does force you to be very present in the act of
Yes.
juggling. Like if you were actually juggling things, you'd have to be so focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you flexible before ballet? Were you coordinated before ballet, or would you have said like you started ballet not really suited for it? How did you begin?
I think concerning flexibility, I think it was okay. I could touch my toes. I could not do the splits at all, but I was going there, so that
Yeah.
was okay. What was the other question?
Just
Uh,
like coordinated. People often, talk about when they
no,
start ballet, they're uncoordinated or they feel very clumsy or they have two left feet and they're like feeling not graceful.
completely uncoordinated
Hmm.
and not dancing anything and kicking off things, but I don't think this has changed so much, to be honest.
Do you have I mean, obviously, I spend an inordinate amount of time trying to help uncoordinated people become coordinated, including myself. So I spent a lot of time thinking about what it means, what it is, what
Hmm.
coordination is, what is actually the skill underneath the coordination. And I'm curious to you, what does it when you see coordinated people, uncoordinated people, what do you think is going on there?
Um, Good question. I think there are a couple things. It's concentration, it's a good controlment of the body. Um, it's a lot of practice, I guess, in many things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And for me, my trouble is that my left eye is not really working. So most of the things I don't see in 3 dimensions.
Mm.
So yeah. So I just hit a lot of things. That's the same as ballet. Sometimes I need to find out where the wall is by hitting it a couple of times.
Yeah, that would certainly make turning quite the adventure as well,
Definitely. Yeah.
especially to the left.
Yes, yes, yes. It's just surprise. Yeah, I forgot to be scared about it most of the time. But yeah, I don't see what's going on at all. I remember ballet teacher after, yeah, at the very beginning, after a couple sessions, she was asking me, "Do you prefer periods on the or on the dance?" Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm surprised I'm getting around.
Yeah, couldn't tell you. They could be upside down for all I'm aware.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Um, so now that you've been into ballet for quite some time, do you have parts of it that you really enjoy working on versus parts of it that you don't enjoy working on so much? Have you started to develop some tastes or some favorite or unfavorite parts of the practice?
Mm, it still stayed with me that I don't like super fast things.
Mhm.
So I really like to work on technique and deep dive into how things work so I can kind of try to control every single muscle of my body.
Mhm.
That's something I really enjoy. Mm, but I also enjoy center and complicated choreographies where I'm completely overwhelmed for the first couple hours and then slowly get somewhere. So,
Well, you're also one who is very creative with finding ballet time on your travels. You have taken class standing on a train, you use your wheeling suitcase as your ballet bar. You've taken class in all kinds of different environments and countries. Is that all just kind of part of this itch, this like sort of desire in your body to move and to get that feeling in your body, even when you're very busy or on the road?
yeah, definitely. And it's so good, especially if you travel, then you get stiff and you don't move and you're stressed, and it's just a way to release stress,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's like during the pandemic for me, doing ballet was also a way to get around the world. So I had you in Miami, I had someone in Brazil, someone in England. So it was kind of for me, getting around the world in my head. And I said, yeah, it's not connected to the location anymore. So now when I have to travel, like tomorrow I'll be leaving for a work trip, I know I can just continue my ballet more or less. Yeah.
Right.
So
Keep it in your body.
yes, and it's a really relaxing way if you have a hard day to have something consistent going on, the same class, the same time, and and it makes you feel at home, although you're not at home.
Yeah, inside your own body.
Yeah,
You spend quite a bit of time on ballet. What was that? What were you doing with that time before you started ballet? What did this replace?
good question. Um, I used to do half marathons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I used to run a lot, actually. Yeah, so training for that. Um, and yeah, when I started doing half marathons, I was not running at all. So from going from zero to running 20 kilometers, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort. Well, even just to practice one half marathon is it's quite a period of time. So even just to do one practice run is like actually quite very long.
Especially if you're very slow like me, it takes
Yeah, it's all day.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I worked a little bit more and did not, yeah, I did Pilates, but this just added on. Yeah.
hmm do you still run and do Pilates, or now it's only pretty much ballet and some other ballet related things?
I do Pilates
hmm
still, which is super helpful for ballet as well.
Yep.
So I have 2 to 3 times a week. I do Pilates over Zoom as well.
Mhm.
Completely stopped running because I have what's this called? Arthrosis in my toe.
Hmm.
Um,
That's the arthritis.
yeah. Yes, that's
Mhm.
yeah, arthritis in my toe. So it actually hurts after a while, even if I walk. So
Mhm.
yeah, and that's a crazy thing. It in my new point shows it doesn't hurt, which nobody believes me, but yeah.
You have the 3D printed point shoes, which is so in they're the talk of the town at this point.
Yes.
It's so like you said a little bit ago that your feet are almost too arched. I've experienced this as well. It's kind of funny because they look like the feet for ballet, but actually in many ways they're very difficult to find point shoes that are supportive enough for this sort of
Yeah.
overextended foot. And I know from my perspective, your feet look way more supported in these 3D printed point shoes. They're much more upright and the toes don't tuck under as far and you're not putting so much pressure on the tops of the joints. So from my perspective, they look really great on your feet.
Yeah, and they do feel, for me, they do feel great. They feel like an extension of my feet.
Mm.
So I can, well, going on point always feels a bit strange, but I don't have any pain, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Um, Hopefully I'll get mine in a couple of weeks. I'm excited to try them out as well.
Yeah,
Inspired by your great success with them.
yeah, but
Um,
I think Solange said they did not fit her at all. So maybe they're not for everyone.
yeah, same, I guess same as a pair of jeans. It works for some people and not other
Yeah.
people. Yeah. Now, okay, so your life looks a lot different now than it did 4 years ago. I mean, obviously COVID changed a lot for a lot of people, but specifically with, how you spend your free time and how you have restructured kind of work and everything. How did ballet change your life, like overall, or even just on the day to day? How has your life morphed throughout these years?
Mm, I think the biggest change is that I'm feeling my real personality better.
Mm,
Um, which is, I don't know, could have been anything, but it was your teaching and performing and IABF and everything. So, when I was small, I was super shy. I would, when I had to give a talk, oh, I hated that. Standing in front of people giving talks, I get so nervous that my knees start jumping up and down. I don't know. Yeah, it's
like the
uh,
kneecap, it starts
the
moving, yeah,
kneecap.
quivering, like
Yeah.
quivering. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And I always, I don't know, I was thinking about it today. So I was thinking like society made me a different person, was telling me I have to be quiet and calm, not speak up, hide somewhere, be this nice little girl. And I'm feeling like I'm reliving parts of my childhood. It's strange. Um, so I dress up for ballet class. I'm like in IABF. Yeah, it's like summer camp or something, I guess. I've never been to summer camp, but it feels like it could be. So, and I noticed that I'm not shy, and I actually like being on a stage. I really enjoy it. I mean, it's like, remember the first year I came, I was dying to just be in the last row of the group performance, and then something completely changed. And last year was, I think, 6 pieces. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you did Andrew's piece and you did Kelsey's piece and you did the quarter ballet pieces and you did two solos. So
Yes, yeah, I was way over my stage time.
that's okay. We don't count the group pieces towards it.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing because like, personally, I don't think of you as shy. Personally, I don't. Personally, I mean, I've known you through ballet, right? I don't know you in really in an out of ballet context. Obviously, when we meet for the festival, it's still a ballet context. It's still this relationship and this rapport that we have with each other. So it's really amazing that ballet, which ironically can kind of have this effect on some people to put them into a box, right? Ballet sometimes does put young children into a box of needing to be quiet and not speak at the bar and not,
Yeah,
wear the same thing as other people. So it's kind of ironic to hear that ballet allowed you to open. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of backwards from what you sometimes hear.
yeah, it's actually completely the opposite, and
Yeah.
it's a way I'm quite grateful I didn't start as a young child
Mhm.
because I was actually expecting the ballet world to put people into boxes and to be very body focused and everything. And during the pandemic, I had this luxury that I could choose the ballet teachers. And whenever I found somebody was like giving comments about the body, I was like, okay, well, I go to the next one.
Right. You're not stuck with them in your town where you only have one option.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm just thinking because it's just such a sort of change to hear that ballet, because you think of ballet as being very rigid and very strict and very uniform. So I always find it very interesting, this experience of coming alive or becoming yourself through ballet when it is meant in many ways to make everybody look more similar or achieve a very similar outcome.
yeah. But I think it's the same as a language. Same, with music, you have the possibility to express yourself in a different
Mm.
way. And learning it's like learning a language. It's hard until you can actually express yourself. By the way, I was failing English every year. You can learn when you're older. So and sometimes it just takes time until you use the things as a tool you learn.
Mm. Right. So the ballet itself, the technique, while there is a sort of correct way to do it, it's basically the same as like learning the correct words or the correct grammar in a
Yeah,
language, and then you're using it for your own personal expression, and it becomes your
yeah,
your language. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And did you used to, I mean, you have joined the dress up club. I have, which we kind of, I mean, I honestly like we did dress up a little bit when I had my Denver studios. We would like have Halloween parties and stuff and dress up, but it wasn't like an integral part of it. Like I used to teach in leggings and a workout shirt because that's what teachers teach. And teachers don't teach in ballet clothes. Like professional teachers don't teach in ballet clothes. Professional teachers teach in like leggings and workout tops or a
Yeah.
hat or shoes or like professional ballet teachers don't teach in ballet clothes. So to me, I thought, I need to be a professional ballet teacher. I will wear leggings and t-shirt. And even though like normally I would wear ballet clothes. So I used to, my early YouTube videos, I was still like dressing as you're supposed to as a teacher, right? So I didn't really start coming into wearing ballet clothes to class until I probably at some point when similar time to when you started wearing ballet clothes to
Yeah,
ballet
I
class.
think so. Yeah. The beginning
Yeah.
you were still wearing tank tops and leggings and
Yes, I
everything.
was
Yeah.
still doing what you're supposed to do as a ballet teacher, which
Yeah.
for whatever reason is not to wear ballet clothes. Like you're supposed to wear like baggier things or you're supposed to cover your body or I don't even know exactly why it is like that, but to wear like ballet clothes like a student, you just wouldn't do it. So it's funny that we've all kind of come into it together. And then, of course, I've always loved to dress up and wear fun things and sparkles and fun colors. So then I thought, everyone's bored at home. Why don't I suggest that everybody buys a fan and we can learn Don Quixote? And I'm like, I don't know if anyone's going to buy a fan. Like, it's kind of a lot to ask people to buy a fan to come to class. And then all of a sudden, like 20 people appear on my screen with a fan. And I'm like, okay, so that's interesting. I wonder what that was about, So I'm like, okay, maybe they want a tiara. And I'm like, okay, let's do a tiara dance. And then, you guys all showed up with tiaras. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I guess people are having fun with this. So then that like those first two dances that we did together during COVID was like kind of what opened the floodgates to like where we are now with our, our various like our Halloween
Yeah,
extravaganza, which is at the time of this recording about to start this week. Um, you got on the train. Were you already playing dress up in your life before then, or was that also your like personal awakening to
it
fun
was a
outfits?
complete awakening. I think I went from 0 to 1,000. I was like, I mean, completely crazy uh, after 2 or 3 months of learning ballet. I started joining your repertoire classes. I mean, far over my limit. But yeah, it was, I don't know. I think during the pandemic, it was really a way to escape the situation, to travel in your mind, and it was so much fun. And if you're at home alone, nobody sees you. I mean, a lot of people see you, but they're on the other end of the world.
And they're doing the same thing, so it's very normal.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing. So, and then I noticed yeah, I was doing it when I was really small, so it's some childhood thing that came back up. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny, right? So funny. We all kind of came into that together. Those of us who've, been here at Broche since 2020, 2021, like those early days, like I woke up with you guys. It was like kind of a together. We took step by step into that pool together at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I learned doing makeup. I never had any idea how to do makeup. So that's what I learned the last 2 years,
Yeah.
especially for shows and everything.
Yeah. Right. Do you wear makeup now in your normal life or do you save it for the shows and special occasions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm experiencing this like a minimal makeup, but no, usually I don't. And it's not common in Germany actually to wear makeup
Oh,
unless you're on a party or something. Yeah, it's not like in the US where everyone wears makeup all the time now.
wow, that's so interesting. When you look ahead to what you're excited about in ballet coming up next, or how ballet will continue fitting into your life, what are you looking ahead to thinking about the coming weeks, months, years in ballet?
There's a lot to come. I'm really excited to come back to Florida next year, and I booked a direct flight this time. Um,
We learned our lesson from the last time.
yes, last time was a very long travel. But anyway, yeah. So that, and I'm working on a solo, which is going to. I try to express my feelings and my childhood trauma actually. So that's kind of I'm working on trying to get it out. And yeah, I'm thinking I could do it on point. I'm not sure. Maybe I chicken out before, but yeah, that's my goal right now. Yeah.
Wow, a
So
solo on
that's
point. That's so exciting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome. You,
still
you can always think of it on point, and then if you get there, you can have your flat shoes ready for you just in case. But we'll, aim for
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you choreographing it yourself?
Well, I think it's mostly choreographed by you. It's the Raimonda variation. I will put to different music and extend and change a little bit, but I think you did 90% of the work,
Great. Past
actually.
past Julie, she was great.
Past, yes.
That is the telling the story through dance can be so amazing. You did that this last summer too. You were telling you did the fairy doll variation and then you also did the piece with your husband's piano music. Do you want to share
Yes.
a bit about what that story was for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, the music my husband made was I think 2 weeks after he almost had a stroke. So out of nothing, he's 48, 47, and actually okay, healthy. So there was not any suspicion that he was going to have a stroke or something. And we only went to the hospital because he had other conditions and he was feeling strange. So, and that stopped him from getting a stroke, but it was this, yeah, this close. And because I'm kind of tech nerd, and I had this little machine that was doing the heart controlling, and it was saying something is irregular. That's why we called an ambulance. So that was pretty close. And then we kind of looked at our past, how many times things, like I guess in every life goes okay, and then all of a sudden something goes down completely, and then you kind of like you when you fall into water, you kind of learn swimming, and sometimes you enjoy swimming or you're taking the waves. And yeah, the music was set up like waves, and it was for me kind of like learning how to surf on the waves, to actually surf on the waves of life. And that's what you try to express, and I tried to dance with it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so much of the movement of your body throughout it that Rosie choreographed it, right? She was on, yeah, Rosie was on the podcast a few weeks ago, talking about balance and her nutcracker coming up. It is so much of the movement, and it was, you started, laying on the ground with this like roll in your back, and you had these sort of waving movements with your body. So it was really beautiful symbolism. I mean, how did you bring the story with you to the stage? Were you kind of were you able to think about that storyline while you were dancing, or were you focused on the choreography, or how were you able to get in your mental state while you were performing it?
Yeah. Actually, in the process of learning it, I have different phases. So for one phase, I just try to find out where I go on the stage at what time. And then I try just to get the movements in somehow, know which foot goes where. That's it. And then once I have it, I try to weave the story into it so that um, in this moment when I perform, I actually think about things that happen and how I would feel at that second. So
Mhm.
on the floor, I was still calm, and then kind of small waves shaking me, and then it's going up, and some, part of the day were going good until I got kicked over, and that's, yeah. um, how I try to imagine it later
Mhm.
on, yeah.
Mhm.
But some parts in between is just trying to memorize the steps and where to go and when.
Mhm. Did you watch it with Andreas when you got back home?
Yes, yeah, yes. We watched the whole show. He's a big fan, and you see him walking.
Yeah.
He just came home.
The ghost in the background.
Yes, and he's such a big fan. He makes all his friends watch the show, and
Oh,
they
that's
have
sweet.
no idea about ballet. And he's like, "Yeah, if you ever want to watch something, you have to watch this," and then they cannot leave.
Did he like how you did he like the
Yes,
dance that you put together?
yes, yes. He actually didn't like his music.
Of course, we
Um,
don't we're all so critical, aren't we?
yes, and I took it away from him up at some certain point because he was like, trying to perfectionize it, and I was like, yeah, it's not going to get any better. Just record now.
Record. I need to start practicing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like we're done. You're done. Turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a beautiful story to be able to tell together and to be able to create together, because it was about in part your shared experiences throughout life. And so it's so touching that you're able to do it with his music and you're dancing
Yes.
together.
Yeah. And maybe someday we will perform together, but he is still super nervous about it.
Well, maybe he can come to ballet class. It'll
I
help him.
tried. Yeah.
Anko, we have woven many, many places. Is there anything else that you want to leave for our listeners who might be, either thinking about ballet, or maybe they're already in ballet and they're thinking about taking the next step? I'm curious if you have any last things that we didn't get to cover today that you want to make sure you can share.
No, just my experience of, yeah, not putting yourself too much under pressure when you start ballet. Just start and find out what you can do and what you have to learn. Just see it as a process. I mean, when you start running a marathon, you don't start running 40 kilometers the first day. You start with one or two, and then you recover and you see it's hard, and then next day you try again and see how far you get. And if you don't get to 45, you get to 20, it's still a lot more than you got before. So and maybe you get to 80, who knows?
Hmm. Yeah, step by step. It unfolds
Yeah,
actually as you're going. You actually don't need to know
yeah,
how it's going to unfold before you take those first steps,
yeah,
one at a time.
yeah. And the great luxury as an adult is it's very likely that I don't get a professional dancer, so there's not a lot of pressure. It's just for fun. So if something is not okay or you don't like it, well, skip it and do the other things, and then maybe later you like it. So
Yeah, so true. Ballet is yours for the taking.
yeah,
Unless you're doing it on someone else's terms, then you have to do what they want you to do. But if it's on your own terms, then it's on your own terms and it is
yeah.
for you. So you can choose. Amazing, Anka. Thank you so much for being here today. I loved getting to hear your story. And yeah, you have just such a great outlook on ballet, just step by step, almost like very neutral, but yet still very much enjoying the positives while acknowledging the difficulties. It's a very, very fresh perspective and one that I think we can all take into the things in life that we want to do that might be a little bit challenging and might be some ups, some waves, as you say. There might be some waves to it as we go. So thanks for being here, for sharing your thoughts. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you again at the festival, seeing your pieces that you bring to the stage and probably in class in like half an hour.
Yes, yes, I can't wait.
Thank you, Anka.
Thank you.
All right, dancers, that was the conversation with Anka. I hope you had as much fun listening as I did recording it, getting to know her on a deeper level, and getting to hear her story. If you'd like to watch Anka's performance to her husband's beautiful music at the International Adult Ballet Festival, be sure to check out the show notes. I'll have the link there for you. I'll be back in your ear next week with another amazing episode, and until then, I wish you very happy dancing.